Rain fell on Seoul like tears from heaven. 3 small children stood outside the iron gates of the Kang mansion. They were soaked, trembling, abandoned. Their tiny hands clutched each other. Their mother's car had disappeared 20 minutes ago. No goodbye, no explanation, no warmth. The household staff watched from the windows. No one moved, no one dared. These were the children of Kang Minutjun, the silent dragon. To touch them without permission was to invite death. But one woman stepped forward. Adana Okonkwo, a Nigerian maid, new to the household, unknown to Faye. She knelt in the rain. Her uniform soaked instantly. She opened her arms, and the smallest child, the one who hadn't spoken in days, ran to her. Somewhere across Seoul, a black car was speeding toward the mansion. Inside sat a man whose very name made powerful men fall silent. Their father was coming home. Before we continue, tell us where you're watching from and share your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing from viewers around the world. And if you enjoy emotional Afro Korean stories like this, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. 3 weeks earlier, Adana Okonkwo arrived at the Kang estate with 1 suitcase. Inside it were 3 dresses, 2 pairs of shoes, a worn Bible her mother had given her, and a photograph she never showed anyone. The agency had warned her about this assignment. The Kang family is different, the placement coordinator had said. Different how? The woman had looked away. Just do your work. Don't ask questions. Don't look at Mr. Kang directly. And never, under any circumstances, enter the east wing of the mansion. Adana had nodded. She needed this job. After everything that happened in Lagos, after the fire, after the bankruptcy, after watching her father's empire crumble and her family scatter like leaves in a storm, she had no choices left, only survival. The mansion was enormous. It sat on a hill overlooking Seoul. Modern glass and traditional Korean architecture merged into something both beautiful and terrifying. Adana counted 14 security cameras before she reached the front door. The head housekeeper, Mrs. Park, greeted her with cold efficiency. "You are the new kitchen assistant." "Yes." Mrs. Park studied her. Her eyes moved over Adana's dark skin. Her natural hair, twisted into neat cornrows. Her simple clothes. Something flickered in the older woman's expression. Not hatred. Something closer to pity. "Follow me." The staff quarters were modest but clean. Adana's room was small. A single bed. A wooden dresser. A window overlooking the garden. "You will wake at 5, Mrs. Park explained. "Breakfast preparation begins at 5:30. The children eat at 7. You will not interact with them directly unless instructed. You will not speak to the madam unless spoken to. And you will never enter the east wing," Adana finished. "Yes, I was informed." Mrs. Park's eyes narrowed. "You're educated." It wasn't a question. Adana kept her expression neutral. "I had some schooling." The lie tasted bitter. She graduated top of her class from the University of Lagos. Business administration. Minor in fashion design. She'd been preparing to launch her own luxury handbag line when everything fell apart. But that was another life. Another woman. That Adana had died in the fire that took her father's warehouse. This Adana made beds and chopped vegetables. This Adana survived. 3 days passed before Adana saw the children. She was carrying linens down the main hallway when she heard crying. Small, heartbroken sobs, coming from behind a closed door. Every instinct told her to keep walking. Every rule told her to mind her business. But the crying, it sounded like her baby brother had sounded. Before the fire, before they buried him in Lagos, Adana stopped. She listened. The crying grew louder. She looked both ways. The hallway was empty. Slowly, she pushed the door open. 3 children sat on the floor. Triplets. 2 boys. 1 girl. They were perhaps 5 years old. Identical in many ways. But even at first glance, Adana could see their differences. 1 boy, the largest, was crying openly. Tears streamed down his cheeks as he clutched a stuffed rabbit. The other boy sat rigid. His small face was twisted with anger. He was tearing pages out of a picture book. And the girl sat perfectly still. She wasn't crying. She wasn't moving. She stared at nothing, as if her soul had left her body. Adana's heart shattered. "Hello," she said softly. 3 heads turned. 3 pairs of eyes widened. The crying boy spoke first. "Who are you?" His Korean was clear, but his voice trembled. "My name is Adana." She knelt to their level. "I work here, in the kitchen." "You're not Korean," the angry boy said. "No, I'm Nigerian." "What's Nigerian?" "It's a country, in Africa, very far away." The angry boy considered this. "Are you lost?" Despite everything, Adana smiled. "Maybe a little." She learned their names. The crying boy was Minute Seo. The angry boy was Minute Ho. And the girl, the silent one, was Minute G. They were 5 years old. Their father was away on business. And their mother, "Ioma doesn't like us anymore," Minute Seo whispered. Adana's chest tightened. "I'm sure that's not true." "It is." Minute Ho's voice was bitter. She said we're too loud. She said we give her headaches. She said she wishes we were never born. She didn't mean. She locks her door. Minute Ho's small hands became fists. "She won't let us in. She told the nannies to keep us away from her." Adana looked at Minute G. The little girl still hadn't spoken, still hadn't moved. "Minute G." Adana said gently, "Are you all right?" Nothing. Not a blink. Not a breath. The child had retreated somewhere deep inside herself. Somewhere no one could hurt her. Adana recognized that place. She'd lived there herself. 4 months after the fire. "What are you doing?" Mrs. Park's voice cut like a blade. Adana stood quickly. "I heard crying. I only wanted to." "You are kitchen staff." Mrs. Park's face was rigid. "These are the master's children. You have no business." They were alone. Adana kept her voice calm and upset. "I couldn't simply walk past." "You should have. Perhaps. But I didn't." The 2 women stared at each other. Something dangerous flickered in the space between them. Then Mrs. Park exhaled. "Return to your duties. Do not let this happen again." Adana bowed respectfully. But as she walked away, she felt 3 pairs of eyes following her. And something told her this would not be the last time. That night, Adana couldn't sleep. She kept seeing Minute G's empty eyes. She kept hearing Minute Ho's bitter words. She kept feeling Minute Seo's desperate need for comfort. These children were drowning. In a mansion full of servants. Surrounded by luxury. They were utterly alone. Adana knew that loneliness. She knew what it meant to be invisible in a crowded room. She knew the particular cruelty of being unwanted by the person who was supposed to love you most. She pulled out her mother's Bible. Inside the front cover was a photograph. Her family. Before. Her father, tall and proud in his tailored suit. Her mother, elegant in traditional Igbo attire. Her 3 younger siblings, grinning with the careless joy of children who'd never known hardship. And Adana, 22 years old, wearing a designer dress, holding the prototype of her first handbag design. A lifetime ago. A different world. She traced their faces. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry I couldn't save you." The following morning, Adana was preparing vegetables when Minute Seo appeared in the kitchen doorway. He was wearing pajamas. His rabbit was clutched under his arm. His eyes were red from crying. "Are you the nice lady?" The other kitchen staff froze. Children never came to the kitchen. This was unprecedented. Dangerous. "Yes." Adana wiped her hands. "I'm Adana. Do you remember?" Minute Seo nodded. "Can you make me something?" "What would you like?" "Ioma used to make us pancakes." His voice broke. "Before she stopped loving us." "Can you make pancakes?" Adana looked at the head cook. The woman shook her head frantically. This was not protocol. This could get them all in trouble. Adana looked back at Minute Seo, at his trembling lip, at his desperate eyes. "I don't know how to make Korean pancakes," she said gently. "But I can make Nigerian pancakes. They are a little different. Would you like to try?" Minute Seo nodded. And for the first time since she'd arrived at the Kang mansion, Adana felt like herself again. 4 days later, the mansion was in chaos. Adana heard the screaming from the staff quarters. A woman's voice, high and hysterical. Then silence. Then the sound of a car engine. Then nothing. She emerged to find the other servants whispering. "What happened?" she asked one of the housemaids. The girl's face was pale. The madam. She left. Left. She took her jewelry, her clothes, her passport. The girl swallowed. She left a note saying she's not coming back. She said the children are the master's problem now. Adana's blood ran cold. Where are the children? Outside. They saw her leaving. They tried to stop the car. The girl's voice cracked. She didn't even slow down. Adana ran. Through the hallways. Past the frozen servants. Through the massive front doors. Into the rain. And there they were. 3 small children. Standing at the end of the driveway. Soaked to the bone. Minute Seo was crying so hard he couldn't breathe. Minute Ho was screaming. Raw, wordless screams of rage and abandonment. And Minute G had collapsed to her knees. She was rocking back and forth. Her eyes were vacant. She had left her body entirely. No one else moved. The security guards stood at their posts. The housemaids watched from the windows. Even Mrs. Park remained frozen on the front steps. Everyone knew the protocol. Only authorized personnel could approach the children. The master had not granted that authority to anyone, to touch them without permission. But Adana was already running. Her feet splashed through puddles. Rain soaked her uniform. She didn't care. She couldn't care. These were children. Terrified, abandoned children. No protocol mattered more than that. She reached them, fell to her knees in the mud. Minute Seo. Minute Ho. Minute G. Her voice was calm despite the chaos. Look at me. I'm here. I'm right here. Minute Seo threw himself into her arms. His small body shook with sobs. She left us. She left us. She said she's never coming back. I know, baby. I'm sorry. Minute Ho stopped screaming. He stared at Adana with wild eyes. Why didn't she love us? Why? What did we do wrong? Adana pulled him close too. You did nothing wrong. Do you hear me? Nothing. This is not your fault. None of this is your fault. Then why? Sometimes adults make terrible choices. Choices that hurt the people who love them. But those choices are never the children's fault. Never. Minute G didn't move. She remained on the ground. Rocking. Silent. Adana released the boys gently. She crawled through the mud to the little girl. Minute G. Sweetheart. Can you hear me? Nothing. The child's eyes were open but unseeing. She had retreated so deep into herself that nothing could reach her. Adana had seen this before. In the refugee camps where she'd volunteered during university. In the faces of children who had survived unspeakable things. The mind had ways of protecting itself. Sometimes by leaving entirely. Adana didn't try to make Minute G respond. Instead, she simply sat beside her. In the rain. In the mud. And began to sing. The song was Igbo. A lullaby her mother had sung to her as a child. Soft and low. Filled with words Minute G couldn't understand. But music didn't require translation. Comfort didn't need language. Slowly, so slowly, Minute G's rocking began to ease. Her breathing deepened. And then, her small hand reached out, found Adana's, and held on. What do you think you're doing? Mrs. Park's voice cut through the rain. She stood at the edge of the driveway. Her face was tight with fear. The master will return within the hour. If he finds you touching his children without authorization, then he'll find me. Adana didn't move. I'm not leaving them. You'll lose your job. Perhaps. You could lose more than that. You don't understand who these people are. You don't understand what they're capable of. I understand that these children are terrified. Adana's voice remained calm. I understand that their mother just abandoned them. I understand that not a single person in this household moved to comfort them. So yes, Mrs. Park, I will stay with them. Whatever the consequences. Mrs. Park stared at her. Rain ran down both their faces. Minutes passed. Then the older woman's shoulders sagged. You're either very brave, she said quietly, or very foolish. Perhaps both. Something that might have been respect flickered in Mrs. Park's eyes. I'll get blankets. And I'll inform the staff that you're acting under my authority. Thank you. Mrs. Park nodded once, then turned and walked back to the house. Adana remained in the rain, holding 3 broken children, waiting for their father to return. The car arrived 40 minutes later. A black Maybach, sleek and silent. It pulled through the gates without slowing. Adana's heart hammered, but she didn't move. The children were finally calm. Minute Seo had cried himself to sleep in her lap. Minute Ho sat rigid beside her, wrapped in a blanket Mrs. Park had brought. And Minute G still held Adana's hand. She hadn't spoken, but she was present again. Her eyes had returned. That was enough for now. The car stopped. The driver emerged first, then a security officer. Then, Kang Minute-jun. He was tall. That was Adana's first thought. Tall and lean and utterly still. He wore a dark suit that probably cost more than she'd make in 5 years. His face was sharp, beautiful in the way that sculptures were beautiful, cold in the way that winter was cold. His eyes moved across the scene. The rain, the mud, the servants watching from windows, and his children, huddled on the wet ground. With a stranger, he said nothing. He simply walked forward. Slowly, deliberately, each step measured and controlled. Adana noticed his hands. His right wrist bore a tattoo, intricate black lines forming a pattern she didn't recognize. A dragon, perhaps, or a symbol of something older, darker. She met his eyes as he approached. She didn't look away. Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, perhaps. Most people couldn't hold his gaze. Most people looked down, looked away, trembled. But this woman, this stranger in a soaked maid's uniform, looked at him directly, as if he was simply a man. Not a monster, not a king, just a man. Appa. Minute Ho's voice broke the silence. Small and broken and desperate. Appa. Ioma left. She said she's not coming back. She said. His voice cracked. He couldn't continue. Kang Minute-jun looked at his son. Something shifted behind his eyes. Something human. Something wounded. He knelt in the mud. Expensive suit and all. He pulled Minute Ho into his arms. I know, he said quietly. I know. Adana watched. She had expected coldness. Distance. The kind of fatherhood that existed only on paper. But the way he held Minute Ho, the way his hand moved to Minute Seo's sleeping head, the way his eyes found Minute G with something close to anguish. This man loved his children. Deeply, desperately. Perhaps the only things in the world he still loved. His eyes returned to Adana. Who are you? His voice was low, controlled, but underneath the control was something dangerous. My name is Adana Okonkwo. She kept her voice steady. I work in the kitchen. And you're here because your children needed someone. His jaw tightened. The staff has protocols. The staff was afraid. Adana's voice remained calm. Your children were alone. Soaked. Terrified. I couldn't leave them. Even knowing the consequences. There are things more important than consequences. Silence stretched between them. The rain had slowed to a drizzle. The servants continued watching from windows. Minute Seo stirred in Adana's lap. Minute G's grip tightened on her hand. And Kang Minute-jun studied this stranger who had held his children when no one else would. What country are you from? The question surprised her. Nigeria. How long have you worked here? 3 weeks. You broke protocol. You ignored direct orders from senior staff. You risked your position and possibly your safety. Yes. Why? Adana looked at the children, at their tear-stained faces, at their fragile, broken hearts. Because they are children, she said simply. And children should never be alone when they are afraid. Something changed in his expression. Just for a moment. A crack in the ice. A glimpse of something warm underneath. Then it was gone. Mrs. Park. The head housekeeper appeared immediately. Yes, sir. This woman acted without authorization. Yes, sir. I take full responsibility. She's new, and she's promoted. Mrs. Park froze. Sir. Effective immediately, she's the children's primary caretaker. She reports directly to me. Her access clearance is elevated to household level 2. She moves to the quarters adjacent to the nursery. Mrs. Park's mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. So, she's only been here 3 weeks. She's kitchen staff. She has no childcare credentials. No. She stayed with my children in the rain when everyone else watched from windows. His voice was cold. That's the only credential that matters. He turned to Adana. Do you accept? Adana's mind raced. This was insane. She'd been a maid for less than a month. Now she was being thrust into the inner circle of a family she didn't understand. A family that terrified everyone who worked for them. But the children. Minutji's hand was still in hers. Small and trusting and desperate. Yes, Adana said. I accept. Kang Minutjun nodded. He stood, lifted Minutsayo from Adana's lap with surprising gentleness. The children will be bathed, fed, and put to bed. You will oversee their care personally. He paused. And tomorrow, you and I will discuss expectations. Yes, sir. One more thing. His eyes met hers, dark and deep and unreadable. In this house, loyalty is everything. Betray my children's trust, and there is no corner of this earth where you will be safe. It wasn't a threat. It was a fact, stated as calmly as one might state the weather. Adana nodded. I understand. He turned and walked toward the house. His children in his arms. His empire in crisis. His wife gone forever. And behind him, a stranger from Nigeria, who had no idea what she'd just agreed to. The following morning, Adana woke in a room she didn't recognize. It took her a moment to remember. The rain, the children, the promotion that still didn't feel real. Her new quarters were twice the size of her old room. A proper bed, a private bathroom, a window overlooking the garden where the children played. On the desk sat a folder. Thick, official. Her name was printed on the cover. Inside were documents, employment contracts, confidentiality agreements, background check authorizations, and a list, handwritten, titled, Rules of the Kang Household. Adana read through them. Some were expected. Never discuss family business outside the estate. Never take photographs without permission. Never accept gifts from visitors. Others were strange. Never enter the East Wing after 9 p.m. Never acknowledge visitors who arrive after midnight. If you hear unusual sounds from the basement, continue your duties without investigation. Adana's hands trembled slightly. What kind of household was this? A knock came at her door. Enter. Mrs. Park stepped in. Her expression was carefully neutral. Mr. Kang will see you in his study. 30 minutes. Thank you. Mrs. Park hesitated. Miss Orkonkwo. Yes. What you did yesterday, it was either very brave or very foolish. So I've been told. I've worked here for 15 years. I've seen many people come and go. Some leave with generous severance. Others. She paused. Others simply disappear. Adana's chest tightened. Are you warning me? I'm telling you to be careful. The master is not unkind. But he is not ordinary. None of this is ordinary. Whatever you think you've agreed to, the reality is far more complicated. Then why did you cover for me yesterday? Mrs. Park was silent for a long moment. Because you reminded me of my daughter. She died young, but she had the same look in her eyes. The same refusal to accept cruelty. Her voice softened. This world needs more people like that, even if such people rarely survive it. She turned and left before Adana could respond. 25 minutes later, Adana stood outside Kang Minutjun's study. She wore her cleanest uniform. Her hair was neatly braided. Her heart was pounding. The door was dark wood, carved with patterns she didn't recognize. Dragons and mountains and symbols that seemed almost sacred. She knocked. Enter. The study was vast. Bookshelves lined the walls. A massive desk dominated the space. Behind it sat Kang Minutjun. He wore a dark gray suit today. His expression was unreadable. The tattoo on his neck was visible above his collar. Black lines curling toward his jaw. Beautiful and dangerous. Sit. Adana sat in the chair across from his desk. She kept her posture straight. Her hands folded. Her breathing controlled. You slept well. Yes, sir. The new quarters are acceptable. More than acceptable. Thank you. He nodded. Silence stretched. Then he slid a photograph across the desk. Adana looked at it. A woman. Beautiful. Korean. Designer clothes. Perfect makeup. Cold eyes. My wife, Kang Minutjun said. Yoon Ji-yeon. We married 6 years ago. A strategic alliance between two powerful families. I didn't love her. She didn't love me. But we had an arrangement. He paused. 3 years into the marriage, she became pregnant. Triplets. I thought, foolishly, that children might change things, that she might grow to love them. His jaw tightened. I was wrong. She never bonded with them. His voice was flat, controlled, but Adana could hear the pain underneath. She saw them as inconveniences, obstacles to her social life. She hired nannies, governesses, tutors, anyone who would keep the children away from her. I was too busy building the company to notice how bad it had become. He looked at Adana. By the time I realized the truth, the damage was done. My children barely knew me. They feared their mother, and they trusted no one. And then she left. Yesterday, without warning, without explanation. I received her letter this morning. He lifted a piece of paper. She's filed for divorce. She wants nothing, not the children, not custody, not visitation. She simply wants to be free of us. His voice cracked, just slightly, just for a moment. She called them burdens. In writing, in a legal document, she referred to her own children as burdens. Adana felt rage building in her chest. Quiet, controlled, but fierce. Those children are not burdens, she said. Kang Minute-jun looked at her. No, they are not. They are frightened and confused and desperate for love. They need stability, consistency, someone who chooses them every single day. Yes. Is that why you promoted me? Partially. He leaned back. But I also promoted you because you reminded me of something I'd forgotten. What's that? That some people act from compassion. Not faith, not ambition. Simply compassion. He stood, walked to the window, his hands clasped behind his back. She could see the tattoo peeking from his sleeve now, lines running down to his fingers. I'm not a good man, Miss Okonkwo. I have done things that would horrify you. My family's wealth comes from sources that would disturb your conscience. The world I move in is dangerous, brutal, and unforgiving. He turned. But my children are innocent. They carry my name, but not my sins. And I will do anything, to protect them. Do you understand? Adana met his gaze. I understand. Then understand this as well. In this house, you will see things you shouldn't see. Hear things you shouldn't hear. And you will say nothing. Ever. To anyone. Can you do that? Yes. Even if what you see troubles you. My job is to care for your children, not to judge their father. Something shifted in his expression. That crack in the ice again. That glimpse of warmth. Most people fear me, he said quietly. I'm not most people. No. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. You're not. The days that followed were intense. Adana threw herself into caring for the triplets. She established routines. Breakfast at 7. Outdoor play at 9. Learning activities at 11. Lunch at noon. Quiet time. Dinner. Bath. Stories. Bed. The children resisted at first. They were accustomed to chaos. To being shuffled between nannies who never stayed. To a mother who locked her door. But Adana was patient. She was consistent. And slowly, so slowly, they began to trust. Minute-sao was the first to open up. He was the most emotional of the three. Quick to tears. Quick to laughter. Desperate for affection. He followed Adana everywhere. Helped her make beds. Sat beside her while she read. Fell asleep with his head in her lap. Adana, he asked one evening. Yes, baby. Are you going to leave too? Her heart broke. No, Minute-sao. I'm not going to leave. Promise. I promise. He hugged her tight, and she held him, knowing that some promises were impossible to keep, but making them anyway. Minute-ho was harder to reach. His anger was a shield, a wall he'd built to protect himself. He challenged Adana constantly, refused to follow instructions, threw tantrums, said cruel things designed to push her away. Minute-ho was harder to reach. His anger was a shield, a wall he'd built to protect himself. He challenged Adana constantly, refused to follow instructions, threw tantrums, said cruel things designed to push her away. You're not our real mom. You're just a servant. You can't tell us what to do. Adana never raised her voice, never punished him harshly. She simply waited, let his storms pass, and remained steady. One afternoon, she found him hiding behind the garden shed. He was crying, trying desperately not to be seen. She sat down beside him, said nothing, just Saturday. 10 minutes passed, then 20. Finally, he spoke. She said I was too loud. That's why she left. Because I was too loud. Adana's heart shattered. That's not true. It is. I heard her say it. She said I gave her headaches. She said she wished. His voice broke. She wished I was different. Adana pulled him close. Listen to me, Minute-ho. Listen carefully. Your mother's choices had nothing to do with you. Nothing. You are not too loud. You are not too much. You are a child. And children are supposed to make noise and have feelings and take up space. That's what childhood is. Then why? Because some people aren't meant to be parents. Some people have their own pain, their own damage, and they pass it on to their children because they don't know any other way. But that's their failure. Not yours. Never yours. He cried for a long time, and Adana held him, and something between them shifted. Minute G was a greatest challenge. She still didn't speak. Hadn't spoken a single word since her mother left. The family doctor diagnosed it as selective mutism, trauma response. Her voice would return when she felt safe. But weeks passed, and she remained silent. Adana tried everything. Songs, stories, art projects, gentle conversations where Minute G could simply listen. The little girl participated in activities. She ate. She slept. She even smiled occasionally. But she never spoke. Her silence was a fortress, and Adana couldn't find the door. One night, Adana woke to a sound. Small footsteps in the hallway. She rose quickly, found Minute G standing outside her room. In her pajamas, tears streaming down her face. Minute G, what's wrong? Did you have a bad dream? The little girl nodded, reached for Adana's hand, led her back to the nursery. They lay together in Minute G's small bed. Adana held her close, stroked her hair, began to sing. That same Igbo lullaby, soft and low, filled with words Minute G couldn't understand. But comfort didn't need language, and just before sleep claimed them both. Minute G whispered something, so quiet Adana almost missed it. Stay. One word. The first word Minute G had spoken in over a month. Adana's eyes filled with tears. I'm staying, she whispered back. I promise. I'm staying. And in that moment, something permanent settled in her chest. These children were hers now. Not by blood, not by law, but by choice. And nothing would take them from her. 6 weeks later, Adana had found her rhythm. The children were thriving. Minute Seo laughed freely now. Minute Ho's tantrums had decreased significantly. And Minute G was speaking again. Softly, hesitantly, only to Adana and her brothers. But her voice was returning. The household staff had accepted Adana, mostly. Some resented her rapid promotion, whispered about favoritism, about inappropriate attention, about a black foreigner who didn't know her place. Adana ignored them. She had no time for jealousy. She had children to raise. Kang Minute-jun remained a mystery. He traveled frequently, sometimes for days, sometimes for weeks. When he was home, he was often in meetings, behind closed doors, with men who had hard eyes and careful voices. But he always made time for the children. Every night he was home, he came to say goodnight. He read them stories in Korean, his deep voice soft and gentle, so different from the voice he used with everyone else. Adana watched from the doorway. She saw how Minute Seo curled against his father's side, how Minute Ho showed him drawings he'd made, how Minute G, still speaking only in whispers, would occasionally reach for his hand. This man was capable of tremendous tenderness. She'd seen glimpses of it, brief moments when the ice melted, when his eyes softened, when he looked at his children with something like wonder, as if he still couldn't believe they were his. One evening, the children were asleep. Adana was preparing for bed when a knock came at her door. Come in. Kang Minute-jun entered. He'd removed his jacket. His sleeves were rolled up. The tattoos on his forearms were fully visible now. Intricate black dragons, climbing from his wrists to his elbows. Beautiful and terrifying. May I sit? Adana gestured to the chair by the window. He's Saturday. She remained standing. The children are doing well, he said. Yes, they are resilient. Because of you. Because of themselves. I just created space for them to heal. He studied her. You're modest. It doesn't suit you. So, Minute G speaks now. Minute Ho has stopped destroying things. Minute Seo sleeps through the night. These are not small changes. These are miracles, and you made them possible. Adana didn't know what to say. She looked away. I just love them. That's all. That's not all. Love is not a small thing. In my world, love is the rarest commodity, more valuable than money, more powerful than violence. He paused. I've realized something, Miss Okonkwo. My children are attached to you. Deeply, permanently. If you were to leave now, it would devastate them. Adana's chest tightened. I don't intend to leave. Good. Because I need to make you an offer. He stood, walked to the window, looked out at the garden. My divorce will be finalized soon. When it is, certain people will become interested in my family situation. Rivals, business partners, ambitious women who see an opportunity. His jaw tightened. They will try to position themselves as replacements for my wife. Not out of love, out of strategy. They'll want access to my children, control over my household, influence in my life. He turned to face her. I need someone I trust with my children. Someone who cannot be bought or manipulated or seduced. Someone whose loyalty is absolute. And you think that's me? I know it's me. How can you know? We barely speak. You're gone for weeks at a time. You don't know anything about me. His expression flickered. That crack in the ice. That glimpse of something warm. I know that you gave up your last meal to feed a stray dog during your second week here. I know that you sent half your salary to a hospital in Lagos for bills belonging to someone named Okonkwo. I know that you cry at night when you think no one can hear. And I know that despite everything you've lost, you still believe in love. Adana's breath caught. How do you? I know everything that happens in this house. I know everything about everyone who enters my world, including you. Silence stretched between them, heavy and electric. Adana's heart pounded. What exactly are you offering? A permanent position, official legal authority as guardian of my children, a seat at family meals, access to resources most people can only dream of. He paused. And my protection, complete, unconditional, for as long as you remain in my household. Why? Why would you give all this to a woman you barely know? He walked toward her, slowly, until he stood close enough that she could smell his cologne. Cedar and something darker, something that made her pulse quicken. Because my children chose you, he said quietly, and I have learned to trust their judgment far more than my own. The following weeks brought changes. Adana's position was formalized. She received new identification, new clearances, new responsibilities. She no longer wore a maid's uniform. Instead, she dressed in elegant but practical clothes, provided by the household, selected with surprising taste. The other servants began addressing her as some with respect, others with barely concealed resentment. The biggest change was the visitors. Word had spread that Kang Minutjun's wife had left. Suddenly, the mansion was flooded with social invitations, dinner parties, charity events, opportunities to be seen. And the women, they came in waves, beautiful, wealthy, perfectly polished, each one hoping to become the next Mrs. Kang. Adana watched them from the shadows. She saw how they smiled at Minutjun, how they laughed at his jokes, how they touched his arm with practiced casualness. She saw how they looked at the children, with calculation, with impatience, with barely concealed annoyance when Minuteo demanded attention or Minutho made noise. They didn't want children. They wanted the appearance of family, the status, the power. One woman was particularly persistent. Lee Suyun, daughter of a shipping magnate. Old money, perfect breeding, a face like porcelain, and eyes like ice. She visited frequently, always with gifts, always with perfect manners, always with a smile that never quite reached her eyes. You must be the nanny. Suyun's voice was polished, pleasant, deadly. I'm the children's guardian, Adana replied calmly. Ah, yes, I heard something about that. Suyun's eyes traveled over Adana's simple dress. How unusual. In Korea, such positions typically go to, well, family. The children are my family. Something flickered in Siyun's expression. Of course they are. That night, Siyun approached Minute-jun. Adana was passing the study when she heard voices. She shouldn't have stopped, shouldn't have listened. But something in Siyun's tone made her pause. Hardly appropriate. A foreigner, a servant, given authority over your children. Minute-jun, surely you see how this looks. How it looks is irrelevant. To you, perhaps. But your reputation is mine to manage. Siyun's voice hardened. You're being reckless. This woman comes from nothing. No family, no connections, no breeding. She's taking advantage of your grief, positioning herself. Careful. One word, spoken quietly, but the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Miss Okonkwo has earned her position through loyalty and competence. You are here because your father thinks an alliance would benefit his shipping routes. Do not confuse hospitality with invitation. Silence. Then footsteps. Adana slipped away before Siyun emerged. But she'd heard enough. The opposition was growing. Adana felt it in whispered conversations that stopped when she entered rooms, in glances that lingered too long, in small acts of sabotage, misplaced schedules, delayed deliveries, forgotten messages. Someone wanted her gone. Someone with power and patience. 3 days later, the first real attack came. Adana was helping Minute-ji with her reading when Mrs. Park appeared. Miss Okonkwo, there's been a complaint. What kind of complaint? Immigration has received an anonymous tip. They're questioning the validity of your work visa. You're being asked to report to their offices tomorrow. Adana's blood ran cold. My visa is legitimate. I'm sure it is. But the investigation will take time. Weeks, possibly months. Mrs. Park's voice was careful, during which your status in this household would be uncertain. Someone was trying to remove her. Legally, quietly, without fingerprints. Adana looked at Minute-ji. The little girl's eyes had gone wide. Fearful. What's happening? Minute-ji whispered. Are you leaving? No, baby. Adana pulled her close. I'm not leaving. Not ever. But even as she said it, she knew the fight had just begun. That evening, Adana requested a meeting with Kang Minute-jun. She was shown to his study immediately. He was standing at the window when she entered, his back to her, his posture rigid. The tattoo on his neck seemed darker in the evening light. Like a warning. I heard about the visa situation. His voice was quiet, controlled, but she could hear anger underneath. Yes, someone reported me. I know who. Adana's breath caught. Who? He turned. His eyes were cold, but not toward her. Never toward her. Lee Se-yun's father has connections in immigration. The complaint was filed through one of his companies. His jaw tightened. He wants his daughter installed in this household. You are an obstacle. What can I do? Nothing. This is my battle, not yours. But my visa will be resolved by morning. I have already made calls. He walked toward her. You will not report to immigration. You will not speak to investigators. You will not leave this estate until I say otherwise. Understood? I don't want to cause trouble for you. You haven't. His voice softened. Others have. He stopped in front of her, close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. Miss Okonkwo, Adana, I need you to understand something. Her heart stuttered at the sound of a name on his lips. What? You are not an employee. You are not a servant. You are the guardian of my children. That makes you family. And in this family, we protect our own. She didn't know what to say. No one had called her family in over 2 years. Not since the fire. Not since she'd lost everyone. Her eyes burned. I don't know how to repay. You already have. His voice was quiet. My children are healing. My house has peace. My nights are no longer filled with their crying. He paused. You have given me more than you know. Something passed between them. Unspoken. Electric. A recognition of shared wounds. Shared loneliness. Shared hunger for connection. Adana stepped back. I should check on the children. Yes. But he didn't move. Adana. Yes. Tomorrow night, there's a charity gala. The children will be presented publicly for the first time since their mother left. I want you there. At the gala. beside the children, beside me. Her pulse quickened. That will cause talk. I want it to. His eyes held hers. The world needs to see that my children have a family. A real one. Not a parade of social climbers in designer dresses. People will assume. Let them assume. Let them whisper. Let them wonder. His voice dropped. I stopped caring about their opinions the day my wife walked out that door. The gala was in 2 days. Adana spent the time preparing the children. New clothes were delivered. Tiny suits for the boys. A beautiful dress for Minute G. They practiced greetings, table manners, how to respond to questions from strangers. The children were nervous but excited. They'd never been to a fancy party before. The night of the gala, Adana stood in front of her mirror. Mrs. Park had arranged for her outfit. A gown in deep burgundy. Elegant, understated, but undeniably beautiful. Her hair was styled in elaborate braids, woven with gold thread. Her makeup was minimal, just enough to highlight her features. She barely recognized herself. She looked like the woman she'd been. Before the fire, before the loss, before survival became her only goal. A knock came at her door. Come in. Minute Jun entered. He stopped, stared. Something flickered in his expression. Something hot, something hungry, quickly suppressed. You look. He paused. Different. Good different or bad different? Neither. Both. His voice was rougher than usual. The children are ready. Then let's go. The Kang Global Charity Gala was held at the most exclusive venue in Seoul. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, music floating through the air. Everyone who mattered was there. Business leaders, politicians, celebrities, old money and new power. And at the center of it all, Kang Minute-jun, with his 3 children, and a woman no one recognized. The whispers began immediately. Who is that? I heard she's from Africa. A servant, someone said. Impossible. Look at the way he looks at her. Maybe she's a mistress. With the children, at a public event. Perhaps the children's tutor. No tutor dresses like that. Lee Se-yeon was there, in a gown that cost more than most apartments. Her face was perfectly composed, but her eyes burned when she saw Donna. She approached during a lull in the festivities. Miss Okonkwo, what a surprise. Her smile was toxic. I wasn't aware the help was invited to these events. I'm not the help. No. Then what exactly are you? Adana met her gaze steadily. I'm the person who loves those children, which is more than can be said for anyone else in this room. Se-yeon's smile froze. Careful. You're playing in waters you don't understand. This world has rules, hierarchies, and you. She leaned close. You don't belong here. She belongs wherever I place her. Minute-jun's voice came from behind them. Low, dangerous. Se-yeon turned. Her smile faltered. Minute-jun, I was just. I know what you were doing. His voice was ice. And I'm telling you, once, to stop. Miss Okonkwo is under my protection. Any attack on her is an attack on me. Am I clear? Se-yeon's face flushed. I meant no offense. You meant exactly offense. The difference is, now I've heard it with my own ears. He turned to Adana. The children are asking for you. She followed him without looking back. But she felt Se-yeon's hatred burning into her spine. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Adana stayed close to the children. Helped Minute Seo navigate the buffet. Calmed Minute Ho when the noise became overwhelming. Held Minute G's hand when strangers asked too many questions. She was so focused on them that she almost missed it. The way people were looking at her. Not with judgment. With curiosity. With something approaching respect. An elderly woman approached. Elegant. Powerful. Dripping with diamonds. You're the one caring for Minute-jun's children. Yes. I knew his grandmother. Before she passed. Formidable woman. She always said the Kang family needed more heart. The woman stuttered Adana. Perhaps you're providing that. I'm just doing my job. No one just does anything in this world, my day. Especially not here. Remember that. She walked away before Adana could respond. Later that night, the children were asleep in the car. Adana sat across from Minute-jun. Seoul's lights flickered past the windows. You did well tonight, he said quietly. I didn't do anything special. You protected my children in a room full of predators. That's not nothing. She was silent for a moment. The woman who spoke to me. The older one. Who was she? Park Myung-jae, the most powerful woman in Korean finance. She hasn't attended a public event in 2 years. He paused. She came tonight specifically to see you. Me? Why? Because word has spread about the Nigerian maid who tamed the silent dragon's children. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. You're becoming a legend, Miss Okonkwo. Adana looked out the window, at the city she barely knew, at the life she'd never expected. I'm just a woman who loves some children. You're more than that. You just don't see it yet. She turned to respond, but the words died on her lips, because he was looking at her, with an intensity that stole her breath, with something that looked terrifyingly like hope. The weeks that followed were turbulent. Seyun's father escalated his attacks. Business deals began falling through. Partners who'd been loyal for years suddenly became unavailable. The visa investigation dragged on despite Minute-jun's intervention. Adana saw the toll it took on Minute-jun. The late nights, the tense phone calls, the meetings that lasted until dawn. He was fighting a war on multiple fronts and losing ground daily. But he never showed weakness in front of the children, never raised his voice, never let them see his face. One night, Adana found him in the garden. It was past midnight. The children were asleep. She'd gone for a walk to clear her head. He was sitting on a stone bench, his jacket discarded, his sleeves rolled up, the tattoos on his arms fully visible in the moonlight. He looked exhausted, broken, almost, a man carrying too much weight. For too long, with no one to help. Adana sat beside him, said nothing, just Saturday. 10 minutes passed. Then he spoke. When I was 7, my father told me that weakness was death, that emotions were weapons our enemies would use against us, that a king never bends, never breaks, never asks for help. His voice was hollow. I believed him. For 30 years, I believed him. He turned to look at her. His eyes were raw, vulnerable. The mask completely gone. I don't know how to do this anymore, Adana. I don't know how to fight everyone at once. My enemies are circling. My business is bleeding. And all I can think about, his voice cracked, all I can think about is what happens to my children if I fail. If I lose everything. If I can't protect them. Adana reached for his hand. His skin was warm. His fingers trembled slightly. You won't fail. How do you know? Because you're not alone anymore. He stared at her. She held his gaze. You've spent your whole life carrying everything yourself. But you have people now. People who love your children. People who... She paused, took a breath. People who care about you. The air between them shifted. Heavy, electric, dangerous. His hand tightened around hers. Adana. Yes. He moved closer, so close she could feel his breath. So close she could count his eyelashes. If I asked you to stay, not as a guardian, not as an employee. Her heart pounded. As what? As. He struggled for words. As something more. As someone who belongs here. Permanently. With us. With me. She couldn't breathe. This was impossible. He was impossible. A billionaire. A mafia boss. A man whose world was built on power and violence. And she was a maid from Lagos. A refugee from her own tragedy. A woman with nothing to offer. You don't know what you're asking. I know exactly what I'm asking. Your world would never accept. I don't care about my world. His voice was fierce. I care about you. About the way you look at my children like they're precious. About the way you challenge me without fear. About the way you make me feel. He stopped, closed his eyes. Human. You make me feel human again. Tears burned her eyes. Minute-jun. It was the first time she'd used his name. His eyes opened, dark and deep and full of want. Say it again. Minute-jun. He pulled her closer. His forehead rested against hers. His breath mingled with her breath. I've spent my life building walls, he whispered. You walked through them like they were made of paper. He kissed her. Soft. Desperate. A question more than a demand. She answered. Her hands found his shoulders. his arms wrapped around her. And for one perfect moment, the world disappeared. Later, they sat in the moonlight, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her waist, neither speaking, neither needing to. But Adana's mind was racing. She'd crossed a line. They'd crossed a line. And there was no going back. The following morning, everything changed. Adana woke to chaos. Shouting from the main house. Security guards running. Sirens in the distance. She threw on clothes. Ran toward the commotion. Mrs. Park met her in the hallway. Her face was white. The children. Someone tried to take the children. Adana's heart stopped. What? 3 men. They breached the east wing. The security system was disabled from inside. Someone in this house helped them. Adana ran. Through the hallways. Past the frozen servants. Into the nursery. The children were there. Safe. Surrounded by security. But Minute G was crying. Minute Ho was shaking. And Minute Seo had a cut on his arm. Blood on his pajamas. What happened? Adana gathered them close. Bad men came, Minute Ho whispered. They tried to take us. But Appa stopped them. Where is your father? He's hurt. Minute Seo's voice was tiny. He got hurt protecting us. Adana's world tilted. Hurt. He was hurt. The man she'd kissed just hours ago. The man who'd opened his heart to her. The man she'd been falling for despite every rational thought. Stay here, she commanded. Do not leave this room. Do you understand? The children nodded. Adana ran. She found him in the east wing. The wing she'd been forbidden to enter. Now she understood why. The room was filled with monitors. Weapons. Maps. Evidence of a world she'd only glimpsed. And in the center of it, Minute-jun, on the floor, blood spreading beneath him. No. The word tore from her throat. She fell to her knees beside him. His eyes opened. Found hairs. The children. Safe. They're safe. Relief flooded his face. Good. His voice was weak. Good. You're going to be okay. Help is coming. Just stay with me. Adana. Don't say goodbye. Don't you dare. He lifted a hand, touched her face. His fingers left blood on her cheek. I should have told you sooner. About my world. About the dangers. I put you in harm's way. You didn't put me anywhere. I chose to be here. I chose you. His eyes widened. You? Yes. Tears streamed down her face. Yes, I chose you. All of you. Whatever that means. Whatever it costs. He smiled. Faint. Beautiful. Heartbreaking. I don't deserve. Don't you dare finish that sentence. Sirens grew louder. Voices shouted. Help was coming. But all Adana could see was his face. His eyes. The way he looked at her like she was the only real thing in a world of shadows. Stay with me, she begged. You promised to protect your children. You can't do that if you die. You promised. His hand tightened on hers. I'm not going anywhere. His eyes closed, and Adana screamed for help. Screamed until her voice broke. Screamed until the medics came. Screamed until they pulled her away. Hours later, she sat in the hospital waiting room. The children were beside her, asleep in a pile. Minute G's head in her lap. Minute Ho curled against her side. Minute Seo holding her hand even in sleep. They'd refused to leave her. Refused to go with anyone else. Because she was their family. She was their safe place. A doctor emerged. Adana stood carefully. Settled the children without waking them. Walked toward the news she dreaded. Mrs. Kang. The title startled her. I'm not. He asked for you by name. Only you. The doctor's face was serious. His out of surgery. The damage was significant, but his stable. His asking for you. Relief crashed over her like a wave. Can I see him? 5 minutes. He needs rest. She walked into the room. He was pale, bandaged, hooked to machines, but alive. His eyes found hers immediately. You came. Of course I came. She sat beside his bed. You scared me. I'm sorry. You should be. But there was no anger in her voice. What happened? His jaw tightened. Seyun's father. He hired professionals. Someone in my household gave them access. His voice darkened. I will find out who. Minute-jun. They came for my children, Adana. They would have taken them, used them as leverage, hurt them to hurt me. His eyes burned. I will destroy everyone involved. Completely. Permanently. She should have been frightened. The violence in his voice. The promise of bloodshed. But she understood. These were his children. And anyone who threatened children deserved whatever came next. What about us? She asked quietly. Us. Last night, before everything went wrong. I know what we did. His voice softened. I know what I said. And I meant every word. He reached for her hand. When I was lying on that floor, bleeding out, thinking I was going to die, the only thing I regretted was not telling you sooner. Not making you understand. Understand what? That you're not a convenience. Not an employee. Not a strategy. His eyes held hers. You're the woman I've been waiting for my entire life. And I didn't even know I was waiting. Adana's heart swelled. I'm a maid from Lagos. I have nothing. You have everything. Courage, compassion, loyalty, love. He squeezed her hand. You have everything that matters. Your world will never accept me. Then I'll build a new world. One that does. She leaned forward, kissed his forehead. You need to rest. Stay with me. The children will understand. Please. His voice cracked. I almost lost everything tonight. I need to know you're real. She stayed, held his hand, watched him sleep, and made a decision. Whatever came next, whatever battles remained, she would face them, with him, with the children, as a family. But outside that hospital room, the war was just beginning. Seon's father was still powerful. The traitor in the household was still hidden. And somewhere in Seoul, someone was planning their next attack. 3 weeks later, Minute-jun was recovering. Slowly, painfully, but recovering. The children visited every day, drew pictures, read stories, showed him their homework. And Adana never left his side. The household had been purged. 8 people dismissed. 3 arrested. 1, a security guard who disabled the alarm, had disappeared entirely. The investigation was ongoing, but the immediate danger had passed. Or so everyone thought. The invitation arrived on a Tuesday. Heavy cream paper, embossed in gold, addressed to Adana Okonkwo. Her stomach dropped when she read it. What is it? Minute-jun looked up from his laptop. His color had returned. His strength was building. But the bandages still showed beneath his shirt. An invitation. From Lee Seon. His expression hardened. To what? A tea. Tomorrow afternoon. Just the 2 of us. Adana met his eyes. She says she wants to apologize. To make amends for her father's actions. It's a trap. Obviously. Then why are you considering it? Adana set the invitation down. Because I need to understand her. What she wants. What she's planning. We can't fight an enemy we don't know. Absolutely not. I won't let you walk into. You won't let me. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were steel. I've survived things you can't imagine, Minute-jun. I've lost everything and rebuilt myself from nothing. I'm not a damsel to be protected. I am your partner, and partners fight together. He stared at her. Emotions warred across his face. Fear, respect, pride, love. You terrify me, he said finally. Good. You should be a little afraid. A laugh escaped him, rusty and surprised. You're going to get yourself killed. Probably not tomorrow. Adana. I'll go. I'll listen. I'll leave. And then we'll know what we're dealing with. He was silent for a long moment. Then he stood, walked to her, lifted her chin. If anything happens to you, nothing will happen to me. Promise. I promise. He kissed her, deep and desperate, and Adana felt the truth she'd been avoiding. She loved this man. Completely. Terrifyingly. Permanently. The tea was at Seon's family estate. A different kind of mansion. Old money. Traditional. Beautiful like a mausoleum. Adana was escorted to a garden pavilion. Seon waited there, in a silk hanbok. Perfect as a painting. Cold as winter. You came. You invited me. Please. Sit. Adana Saturday. Tea was poured. Silence stretched. I underestimated you. Seon's voice was conversational. Almost friendly. When you first arrived, I assumed you were temporary. A distraction. A curiosity. She sipped her tea. I was wrong. Why am I here? Because I want to offer you a deal. Adana's instinct screamed. What kind of deal? Leave Korea. Tonight. I'll provide everything you need. Money, documents, passage to anywhere in the world. Your family's debts in Lagos. Paid. Your relatives' hospital bills. Covered. You'll never have to worry about money again. Adana's blood chilled. How do you know about? I know everything. Miss Okonkwo. Your father's business empire. The fire that destroyed it. The insurance fraud accusations. The debts he left behind. Seyun's smile was razor-thin. I know you've been sending every spare one to Lagos. To a hospital. To a woman named Kyoma Okonkwo. Your mother, I presume. Adana's hands trembled, but her voice stayed steady. What do you want? I want you gone. Disappeared. I want Minute-jun free to make proper choices. To marry appropriately. To raise his children within our world, not contaminated by outsiders. And if I refuse? Seyun's smile hardened. Then I release what I know. To the press. To immigration. To everyone. Your mother dies in that hospital. Bills unpaid. Your name is destroyed. And the Kang family. She paused. Suffers the humiliation of having embraced a fraud. The world tilted. Adana had known her past was complicated. But this was weaponized truth. I wasn't involved in my father's crimes. Perhaps not. But perception is reality. And the perception would be devastating. Adana stood. No. Seyun blinked. I'm sorry. No. I'm not leaving. I'm not abandoning the children. I'm not walking away from the man I love because some spoiled heiress can't accept that she lost. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You're threatened by me, by what I represent, by the fact that Minute-jun chose compassion over status. Adana's voice was fierce. You thought wealth made you powerful. You were wrong. Love makes you powerful. And I have something you'll never have. What's that? A family that actually wants me. Seyun's face contorted. The mask cracked. Underneath was something ugly. Something broken. Something that had never been loved at all. You'll regret this. Maybe. But I'll regret it as a free woman. With people who love me. While you... Adana walked toward the door. You'll spend the rest of your life buying things that can't fill the emptiness inside you. She left. Head high. Heart pounding. Knowing she'd just declared war. When she returned to the hospital, Minute-jun was waiting. His face was tense. What happened? She tried to buy me off. Threatened to expose my family's history. And I told her no. Relief flooded his face. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. He pulled her close. Held her like she might disappear. Whatever she releases, whatever comes, we face it together. Together. I love you. Adana. The words stopped her breath. He'd never said them before. Not like this. Not out loud. I love you too. The words felt like coming home. He kissed her. And outside the window, storm clouds gathered. The explosion of truth came 3 days later. Headlines screamed across every news outlet. Kang family guardian revealed as fraud. Nigerian maid daughter of disgraced businessman. Scandal rocks Seoul's most powerful family. The fallout was immediate. Business partners called. Board members demanded explanations. Social invitations were rescinded. The world Minute-jun had built began to tremble. But he didn't waver. He called a press conference, stood before cameras, held Adana's hand, and told the truth. Yes, Miss Okonkwo's family faced financial tragedy. Yes, she came to Korea with nothing. Yes, she worked as a maid. His voice was steel. And she saved my children when everyone else abandoned them. She healed my family when we were broken. She taught me what love looks like. The cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. But Minute-jun wasn't finished. Anyone who has a problem with her has a problem with me. Anyone who threatens her threatens me. And anyone who thinks they can use her past to destroy her. He turned, looked directly into the camera. Should remember who I am and what I'm capable of. The threat was clear, the message unmistakable. Adana or Konkwo was under the protection of the silent dragon, and God help anyone who forgot it. But even as Minutjun defended her, Adana saw the cost, the shadows under his eyes, the tension in his shoulders, the weight of a world turning against him. She pulled him aside after the conference. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. Your reputation means nothing without you. She touched his face. I don't want to be the reason your empire falls. You're not the reason. You're the purpose. He covered her hand with his. Everything I've built means nothing if I don't have people to share it with. You taught me that. Minutjun. Marry me. The words hung in the air. Simple. Shocking. Impossible. What? Marry me. Not for strategy. Not for appearances. Because I love you. Because my children love you. Because every morning I wake up grateful that you're still here. And I want to wake up that way for the rest of my life. Tears streamed down her face. This is insane. Probably. Your family will never accept. I don't care. The world will talk. Let them. I'm a maid. You're my heart. His voice cracked. Please, please say yes. Adana looked at him. At this impossible man. This wounded warrior. This father who would burn the world for his children. And she realized she'd already given him her answer. The day she knelt in the rain. The day she chose 3 frightened children. The day she decided love was worth more than safety. Yes. The word was barely a whisper, but it changed everything. He kissed her, deep and desperate, full of promises and passion. And somewhere in the mansion, 3 children waited, unaware that their lives were about to change forever. That evening, they told the children. Minutjun sat them down, held Adana's hand, and explained, Adana is going to stay with us. Forever. She's going to be part of our family. Permanently. The children stared. Then Minutseo's face split into a grin. You mean she's going to be our mommy? Adana's heart swelled. Would you like that? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. He threw himself at her. Minutho followed. Then Minutji. They held her tight. These children she'd chosen. These hearts she'd healed. This family she'd never expected. We love you, Adana, Minutji whispered. And Adana cried. Happy tears. Healing tears. The tears of a woman who'd finally found a home. But outside the mansion, the storm wasn't over. Seon had one final card to play. A secret that would test everything. Because Adana wasn't the only one with a hidden past. And some truths, once revealed, change everything. If this story touches your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue bringing you powerful Afro-Korean love stories every week. Adana has just accepted Minutjun's proposal. The children are celebrating. The family seems complete. But Seon has one final devastating secret. One that will test every bond Adana has formed, challenge her understanding of the man she loves, and force her to make an impossible choice between the family she's built and the truth she deserves to know. The truth about Kang Minutjun. The truth about his wife's disappearance. And the truth about what really happened the night the children's mother left. The night should have been perfect. Adana lay awake in her room. The children were asleep. Minutjun had kissed her good night. Everything she'd ever wanted was within reach. And yet, something gnawed at her. A whisper of doubt. A shadow she couldn't name. She rose from bed. Walked to the window. Soul glittered below. Millions of lives unfolding in the darkness. And somewhere out there, Lee Se-yeon was planning. Waiting. Preparing her final strike. The envelope arrived at dawn. No return address. No postmark. Just Adana's name in elegant script. Mrs. Park brought it personally. Her face was grave. This was left at the gate. The security footage shows nothing. As if it appeared from nowhere. Adana took the envelope. Her hands trembled. Inside were photographs. And a letter. The photographs showed a woman. Beautiful. Korean. Clearly distressed. She was sitting in what looked like a hospital room. Wearing a patient's gown. Her eyes were empty. Haunted. Adana recognized her. From the photograph Minutjun had shown her months ago. Yoon Ji-yeon. The children's mother. The woman who had abandoned them. But these photographs were dated. Recent. Taken within the last month. Adana's blood ran cold. She opened the letter. The handwriting was precise, calculated. Miss Okonkwo, you believe yourself to be marrying a good man, a wounded father, a protector. Allow me to correct your delusion. Yoon Ji-yeon did not abandon her children. She was committed, forcibly, to a private psychiatric facility in Switzerland. By her husband. Against her will. The woman you saw driving away that night was sedated. Controlled. She had no choice. Kang Minit-jun told his children their mother left them. He told his staff. He told the world. But the truth is far darker. He locked her away because she threatened to expose his criminal empire. She knew too much, saw too much, and when she tried to leave with the children, he made her disappear. The man you love is a monster. The family you've joined is built on lies. You have 1 week to verify this information. After that, I release everything to the international press. Choose wisely. A friend. The letter fell from Adana's hands. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The room spun around her. This couldn't be true. Minit-jun was cold, dangerous, capable of violence. But this, locking away the mother of his children, lying to them for months, letting them believe they were unloved when she was imprisoned, her mind raced. Every interaction, every conversation, every moment of tenderness. Had it all been manipulation? Had she fallen in love with a lie? Adana. Minit-ji's small voice came from the doorway. Adana spun, shoved the photographs under a pillow. Yes, sweetheart. I had a bad dream. Can I sleep with you? Adana looked at this child. This precious, wounded child who had finally learned to trust. Who called her Adana with such love. Who would be devastated if a mother was truly alive. Imprisoned. Crying for children who thought she'd abandoned them. Of course, baby. Adana pulled Minit-ji close, held her tight, and felt her world crumbling. Adana spent the next 3 days investigating. Quietly, carefully, without alerting Minit-jun. She hated the deception, but she needed to know. She started with the household records, employment files, security logs, visitor records, anything that might reveal the truth about Ji-yeon's departure. Mrs. Park found her in the archive room. Miss Okonkwo, is everything all right? Adana looked up, schooled her expression. I'm organizing the children's medical records, making sure everything is up to date. Mrs. Park studied her. Something flickered in her eyes. Suspicion. Or perhaps, recognition. You received something, didn't you? Adana froze. I'm sorry. The envelope this morning. I saw your face when you opened it. Mrs. Park stepped closer. Whatever it contained, it disturbed you deeply. It's nothing. You're lying. Silence stretched between them. Then Mrs. Park sighed. I've worked here for 15 years. I've seen many things. I've kept many secrets. Her voice dropped. If you're looking for truth, you won't find it in files. You'll find it in people. What do you mean? Talk to Dr. Yoon, the family physician. He was here the night the madam left. Dr. Yoon lived in Gangnam, a wealthy district, private practice, expensive address. Adana visited him under the pretense of discussing the children's health care. He was old, kind-eyed, but nervous. His hands shook when he poured tea. You're the new guardian. I've heard about you. All good things, I hope. Remarkable things. He studied her. The children are thriving. Minit-ji speaks again. That alone is miraculous. Thank you. Adana set down her cup. Dr. Yoon, I need to ask you something. About the night Ji-yeon left. His face went pale. I don't know what you. I received information. Photographs. Suggesting she didn't leave voluntarily. Silence. I need to know the truth. For the children. For myself. For everyone. Dr. Yoon stood. Walked to the window. His back was rigid with tension. What I'm about to tell you could get me killed. I understand. Do you? Do you understand what the Kang family is capable of? I'm about to marry into that family. I need to know. He turned. His eyes were haunted. Ji-yeon was troubled. Long before the children were born, she suffered from severe postpartum depression after the triplets. Then it evolved into something darker. Paranoia. Delusions. She became convinced that Minit-jun was going to kill her. Was he? No, but she was She was planning to take the children. To disappear. She'd made contact with her family in Japan. Arranged documents. Money. Adana's heart pounded. What happened? Minute-jun found out. And he. Dr. Yoon swallowed. He made a decision. To protect the children. To protect her from herself. He committed her. Yes. To a facility in Switzerland. The best in the world. She's receiving treatment. She's safe. But the children think she abandoned them. Because that's what Minute-jun told them. What he told everyone. Why? The word was barely a whisper. Because the truth was worse. Dr. Yoon's voice cracked. How do you tell a 5-year-old that their mother tried to kidnap them? That she was so sick she couldn't tell reality from fantasy? That she believed their father was a monster who wanted them dead? Adana's mind reeled. This wasn't the simple villain story Siyun had painted. This was complicated. Painful. Human. Does she know? Ji-yun. Does she know where she is? She's lucid now. The treatment has helped. She understands that she was ill. That her children are safe. He paused. She writes to them. Letters. Minute-jun keeps them all. He says he'll give them to the children when they're old enough to understand. Tears burned Adana's eyes. Is protecting them. Is always protected them. In the only ways he knows how. Ways that are imperfect. Sometimes cruel. But always from love. Adana left Dr. Yoon's office. Her heart was heavy. Her mind was chaos. But she understood now. Minute-jun wasn't a monster. He was a man who'd made impossible choices. Choices she might have made herself. But there was still one question. Why hadn't he told her? She confronted him that evening. The children were asleep. The mansion was quiet. She found him in his studio, working late. As always. We need to talk. He looked up, saw her expression, set down his pen. What's wrong? She placed the envelope on his desk. The photographs. The letter. All of it. His face went still. That mask she'd learned to read. The one that hid everything. Where did you get this? It was delivered to the gate. I assume from Suyun. He picked up the photographs. Studied them. His jaw tightened. You investigated. Yes. You spoke to Dr. Yoon. Yes. And what did you conclude? Adana sat across from him. I concluded that you made a devastating choice to protect your children. That you've been carrying this burden alone for months. That you let them believe their mother abandoned them because the truth was too terrible to explain. He was silent. I also concluded that you didn't trust me enough to tell me. His head snapped up. That's not. You asked me to marry you. To become part of this family. But you hid something this significant. Something that could destroy us all. I was going to tell you. When? After the wedding. After things stabilized. After I was too deep to walk away. The words hung in the air. Brutal. Honest. Necessary. Minute-jun stood. Walked toward her. His expression was raw. Vulnerable. The mask completely gone. I was afraid. 3 words. From a man who feared nothing. I was afraid that if you understood what I was capable of, you would leave. You would take your light and your warmth and your impossible compassion, and you would walk out that door. And I couldn't. His voice broke. I couldn't survive losing you two. Adana stood. Faced him. You think I'm fragile. That I can't handle truth. I think you're the best person I've ever known. And I didn't want to taint you with my darkness. Minute-jun. She stepped closer. I grew up watching my father navigate impossible choices. I've seen what desperation does to good people. I've carried my own darkness for years. She touched his face. I don't need you to be perfect. I need you to be honest. About everything. Even the things that frighten you. Ji-yun made choices too. She was sick. She needed help. And you got her help. The only way you could. I separated her from her children. You protected her children. And her. From a situation that had no good answers. He closed his eyes. The children will hate me when they know. Maybe. For a while. But children are resilient. And they'll understand eventually that you did what you thought was right. Did I? Do what was right? Adana was silent for a long moment. I don't know. I don't think there was a right in that situation. Only choices. and you made the one you could live with. She pulled him close. He buried his face in her shoulder, and the strongest man she knew wept. The next morning, they made a decision. Together, they would tell the children. Not everything. Not yet. But enough. They gathered in the sunroom. Minute-jun sat on the floor with his children, Adana beside him. The morning light was soft, gentle, as if even the sun understood what was coming. "We need to talk to you about your mother." The children tensed. Minute-ho's face hardened. Minute-seo's eyes filled with tears. And Minute-ji reached for Adana's hand. "Your mother didn't leave because she stopped loving you." The words were careful, measured. She left because she was very sick, in her mind, and she needed to go somewhere special to get better. "Like a hospital?" Minute-seo asked. "Yes, like a hospital, but for thoughts and feelings." Minute-ho's voice was sharp. "Then why did she say she was never coming back? Why did she say we were too loud?" Minute-jun flinched. "Because when someone's mind is sick, they say things they don't mean. Things that hurt. But those things aren't true. They are symptoms of the sickness. So she still loves us?" "Yes." Minute-jun's voice cracked. "She still loves you. Very much." Minute-ji spoke. Her voice was small, trembling. "Will she come back?" Adana squeezed her hand. Minute-jun took a breath. "Someday, when she's well enough, when the doctors say it's safe, she'll come back, and you'll be able to see her." "Will she take us away?" The fear in Minute-ji's voice was heartbreaking. "No, sweetheart. No one is taking you anywhere. You're staying here. With me. With Adana. This is your home. Forever." The children were quiet, processing, hurting, healing. Then Minute-seo climbed into Minute-jun's lap. "I'm glad you told us, Appa. The truth is better, even when it hurts." Minute-jun held him tight. "You're right. It is. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us your country or city in the comments, and let us know what you think of this moment. How would you have handled it? Your stories and opinions make this community special." Over the following weeks, the children processed their new reality. Some days were hard. Minute-ho's anger fled. Minute-seo had nightmares. Minute-ji went quiet again, though not silent. But they had support. Adana was constant, present, patient. She held them through the difficult moments, celebrated the breakthrough ones. And slowly, so slowly, they began to heal. Minute-jun watched. This woman he'd chosen. This unexpected gift. She handled his children's pain with such grace, such wisdom, as if she'd been preparing for this her entire life. One evening, he found her in the garden. She was teaching Minute-ji to braid flowers. The little girl's laughter floated through the air. Light, free, the laughter of a child who finally felt safe. She smiles differently now. Adana looked up. "Who?" "Minute-ji. When she first came to you, her smiles were careful, guarded. Now they are." He searched for the word. "Open. She's learning that it's safe to be happy. Because of you." Adana stood, brushed off her dress. "Because of all of us. You, me, her brothers. This home we're building together. A home built on truth now. And love. Don't forget love." He pulled her close. "I couldn't forget that if I tried." They stood together, watching Minute-ji play. And for the first time in longer than he could remember, Minute-jun felt hope. Soo-yeon made her move on a Wednesday. The press conference was announced with 24 hours notice. International media was invited. The topic, explosive revelations about Korea's most powerful family. Minute-jun received the notification with cold calm. She's releasing everything. Ji-yeon's location, the psychiatric records, all of it. Adana's stomach dropped. "Can you stop her?" "Legally? No. She's been careful. Everything she has was obtained through legitimate sources. Medical staff who were bribed. Facility records that were stolen." "Then what do we do?" He stood, walked to the window. His silhouette was dark against the Seoul skyline. "We do what I should have done from the beginning. We get ahead of it." The Kang family press conference happened 2 hours before Soo-yeon's. The Grand Hyatt Ballroom. 300 journalists. Live television coverage. Unprecedented access to Korea's most private family. Adana stood beside Minute-jun. The children were safely at home, Mrs. Park watching over them. This battle was for adults. Minajun approached the microphone. His suit was impeccable, his expression controlled, the tattoo on his neck visible above his collar, a reminder of who he was, what he was capable of. Thank you for coming. His voice was calm, measured. I'm here to address rumors that have been circulating about my family, specifically about my former wife, Yoon Ji-yeon. The cameras flashed. Record his word. The world leaned in. 18 months ago, my wife experienced a severe mental health crisis, postpartum depression that evolved into psychosis. She became a danger to herself and potentially to our children. A murmur rippled through the crowd. I made the decision, with the guidance of medical professionals, to have her admitted to a psychiatric facility in Switzerland. This facility specializes in treating exactly the kind of illness she was suffering from. She is receiving the best possible care. She is improving. I chose not to share this information publicly for several reasons. His voice hardened. First, mental health struggles should not be tabloid fodder. My wife deserved privacy during her recovery. Second, my children deserve protection from a truth they were too young to understand. And third, he paused. Third, I was protecting her from the same kind of exploitation that is happening right now, from people who would use her suffering to advance their own agendas. His eyes found the camera. To those who believe they can use my family's pain for their own purposes, I am not afraid of truth. I have nothing to hide, but I will not tolerate the exploitation of a sick woman and innocent children. Questions erupted. Mr. Kang, did you commit your wife against her will? What about the children? Do they know? Is it true you're engaged to your maid? Minajun raised his hand. Silence fell. My wife's admission was voluntary. Once she was lucid enough to understand her situation, she agreed that treatment was necessary. My children have been told age-appropriate truths. They know their mother is sick and getting better. He paused. As for my engagement, he turned, extended his hand. Adana stepped forward, took it. This is Adana Okonkwo. His voice softened. She came to my household as a domestic worker. She became my children's guardian. She became the heart of my home. And yes, she has agreed to become my wife. The room exploded. Questions overlapping. Cameras flashing. Chaos. But Minajun wasn't finished. Miss Okonkwo's background has been the subject of malicious investigation. Yes, her father faced financial difficulties. Yes, her family experienced tragedy. These facts have been weaponized against her by people who see her as a threat. His jaw tightened. But let me be clear. Adana Okonkwo is the most honorable person I have ever known. She chose my children when no one else would. She loved them when they were unlovable. She healed them when I couldn't. And I will spend the rest of my life trying to deserve her. Adana's eyes filled with tears. This man, this impossible, complicated, beautiful man, standing before the world, declaring his love without shame. He turned to her, right there, in front of 300 journalists. He knelt. Gasps filled the room. Kang Minajun, the silent dragon, on his knees, before Nigerian maid. Adana. His voice was rough. I propose to you in private, but I want the world to witness this. I want there to be no doubt about what you mean to me. He pulled out a ring. Simple, elegant, a single diamond surrounded by smaller stones. Will you marry me? Not in secret, not in shame, but openly, proudly, as my equal, my partner, my heart. The room was silent. Adana looked at this man, at his vulnerable eyes, at his trembling hands, at the tattoo that marked him as dangerous, and the love that made him gentle. Yes. The word rang clear, strong, certain. Yes. 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, rose, kissed her, and the room erupted. Across Seoul, Lee Se-yeon watched the broadcast. Her face was white. Her hands shook. Her carefully planned press conference was meaningless now. Every revelation she'd planned to make had been neutralized, spun, transformed into a love story. They had 2 more children together, a boy and a girl, who grew up with 3 older siblings who adored them, who never knew a time when their parents didn't love each other, who were raised in a home where truth was valued. where feelings were discussed, where love was shown through actions. 20 years after that rainy night, Adana stood on the balcony of the Seoul mansion. The same balcony where she'd first seen Minutjun, where she'd fallen in love without meaning to, where she'd chosen a family that wasn't hers by blood. The estate had changed, expanded, softened. The security was still there, would always be there. But now there were also playgrounds, gardens, spaces for laughter and living. She heard footsteps behind her. Familiar. Beloved. You up early. Minutjun's voice was rougher now, aged, but still the voice she loved most in the world. Couldn't sleep. Too much happiness. He stood beside her, silver threading his dark hair, lines around his eyes, but still beautiful, still hers. The children are arriving today. All of them. All of them. Plus the grandchildren. She smiled. The house will be chaos. The best kind. He took her hand, held it, said nothing, because they'd learned that silence could be love too. Later that morning, cars began arriving. Minute Seo with his husband and their adopted daughter. Minute Ho with his wife and twin boys. Minute G with her partner and their 3 children. And the 2 youngest, now grown, bringing their own families home. The mansion filled with noise. Children running. Adults laughing. Food being prepared. Stories being told. Adana watched from the kitchen. This family she'd built. These lives she'd touched. This legacy of love that stretched forward into generations. Minute G found her there. Mom. Adana turned. Yes, baby. At 33, Minute G was hardly a baby. But some things never changed. I wanted to thank you. For what? For that night. The night you found us in the rain. The night you chose us when everyone else was afraid. Adana's eyes filled. I didn't have a choice. I saw 3 frightened children. My heart moved before my mind could stop it. That's exactly what I mean. Minute G took her hands. You followed your heart, even when it was dangerous, even when it made no sense. And because of that choice, she gestured at the chaos around them. All of this exists. Adana pulled her close, held her, the way she'd held her that first night. In the rain, in the mud, when everything was broken. I would make that choice 1,000 times. 1,000,000 times. Every time. I know, Mom. I know. That evening, the family gathered for dinner, around a table large enough for everyone. A table Minutjun had built himself. Because some things couldn't be bought. They had to be created. He stood, raised his glass. A toast. The table quieted. Faces turned toward him. Young and old. Blood and chosen. All of them family. 20 years ago, I was a man without hope. My children were broken. My heart was frozen. I believed love was weakness. Believed I would live and die alone. His voice cracked. And then a woman knelt in the rain. A woman with nothing. A woman who had every reason to walk away. And instead, she stayed. His eyes found Adana. She taught me that love isn't weakness. It's the only strength that matters. She showed my children that family isn't blood. It's choice. She healed wounds I didn't know I had. And she gave me. He gestured at the table. All of this. All of you. He raised his glass higher. To Adana. The woman who saved us all. The heart of this home. The love of my life. To Adana, the table echoed. She wiped her tears. Stood. Walked to him. Kissed him. While their children cheered and their grandchildren giggled. Later, long after midnight, when the house was quiet, when the children were sleeping, when even the city had gone still, Adana and Minutjun sat on the balcony. The same balcony. Different people. Same love. Are you happy? His voice was soft. Deliriously. No regrets. She turned to look at him. Not one. He pulled her close. Held her against the cool night air. I never told you this. But that first night, when I came home and found you with my children, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. What? Hope. He kissed her hair. You looked at me without fear. You held my children like they were precious. And I thought, maybe this life doesn't have to be darkness. Adana smiled. I looked at you and thought you were terrifying. And now, still terrifying. In the best way. He laughed. That beautiful, rare laugh. The night wrapped around them, soft and warm, full of memories and dreams. Minute Jun. Yes. If I hadn't come to Seoul, if I hadn't taken this job, if I hadn't knelt in that rain. Don't what? Don't wonder about lives we didn't live. He turned her face to his. We're here, together. That's all that matters. She kissed him, deep and slow. A kiss that held 20 years of love, 20 years of growth, 20 years of choosing each other. Every single day, when they finally pulled apart, the first light of dawn was touching the sky. A new day beginning, another day of love. Let's go to bed, she whispered. Together. Always together. They walked inside, hand in hand, into the home they'd built, into the life they'd chosen, into a forever that had started with one impossible act of compassion. And somewhere, in the heart of Seoul, in a mansion on a hill, a family slept, safe, loved, whole, because 20 years ago, a poor black maid had knelt in the rain and changed everything, forever. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue bringing you powerful Afro-Korean love stories every week. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. What was your favorite moment? What would you have done in Adana's place? Tell us your country or city. We love hearing from viewers around the world. Until next time, remember, love doesn't always make sense. Sometimes it just requires one act of courage, one moment of compassion, one choice to stay when leaving would be easier. Be someone's safe place today.